questions that came up was, in the context of reading food labels, why is it important to know what is in your food? And I love this question because actually it's really very important, and for several reasons. One is nutritional value. So reading food labels allows you to gauge the nutritional value of the food that you're consuming, and this helps to ensure that you're like really making sure that you're meeting those nutritional needs, your daily nutritional needs, and then also avoiding the excessive intake of unhealthy components. So that's a very important one to consider. It's not just what you're eating, but what you're avoiding that we're looking at. Then we look at dietary restrictions. So people with allergies, intolerances, or sensitivities, and we talked about this at a previous episode, really need to be aware of certain ingredients in order to avoid those adverse reactions. So for instance, for someone with a gluten intolerance, may need to be really conscious of those certain foods that are containing gluten. And we talked about this previously, that gluten actually isn't a required allergen to be printed on food labels. So this is where it kind of gets a little bit tricky. Wheat is, yes, but gluten, no. So just consider that, when you're looking at your food labels. Now, health concerns, that's another one. So some individuals may need to monitor or restrict the intake of certain nutrients due to medical reasons. So for instance, here, those with hypertension may need to watch their sodium intake. So that's an important one. Then obviously diabetics may be concerned with carbohydrate or sugar content. So again, a really important one to start looking at. And then caloric intake. And then for those that are really monitoring weight or trying to lose weight, gain weight, or maintain weight, this might be a crucial sort of area to look at. Not getting obsessive and super focused on the caloric intake. I think my approach is always about, what are the calories you're eating made up of, rather than the calories themselves. If your majority of your calories is coming from junk, then I have a real concern about that. But it's 1,500 calories a day, or 1,800, or whatever your number, your restrictive calorie intake is for your goals. I have more of a concern with that. But if it's 1,800 or whatever the number is, calories a day of really nourishing, beautiful, wonderful foods that are going to make your body thrive, good sources of protein, good carbohydrates, fats, lots of fiber, leafy green veggies, all of those gorgeous things, then less of a concern. So also consider, when you're looking at that caloric intake, what are those calories being made up of? Okay. And also consider drinks and fluids here when you're looking at those numbers, because those are hidden areas for, cheeky numbers to start rising, and, maybe not very nutritious. Artificial additives and preservatives. This is a really important one. So some people prefer, and I would hope that most of us are trying to prefer to avoid or limit the artificial flavors and colors. The colors in particular, guys, it's really, really, really awful for us. Really, all of the research that's coming out now is really showing actually that it has some really significant adverse health effects. So definitely one to avoid, and please try to avoid with your children. For your children, the Fruit Loops Cheerios that they love in the morning, full of dyes and artificial colors, and marketers are really very clever with their labeling, and they'll say that, natural flavors and colors, but those are just tricky terms that they use for ways to kind of hide those not so great ingredients. So really look at trying to get the whole foods into your life and into your diet, rather than buying lots of processed foods that have artificial additives and preservatives. Now, what else is really important here? I love this, and it's transparency and trust. So knowing what is in your food can lead to better trust between the consumer and those producers. So this is maybe where it comes down to the fact, maybe support those local farmers, figure out where you're sourcing your food from. And if there's a company that is transparent about its ingredients and sourcing, it may be easier for you as a consumer to make those informed choices about what you're eating. So, the approach to food and how you're nourishing your body should really be, almost like a really beautiful, synergistic, lovely thing that you kind of just layer into your life, rather than feeling like it's an overwhelming thing. Look at it like as a part of this beautiful journey to make your body thrive and your life thrive. And, if all of these areas are sort of nice and beautiful and balanced, and it starts obviously with what we're nourishing ourselves with, then maybe moving forward things are a little bit easier. and you're much more aware to make those informed choices because it's coming from a place of understanding and knowing what your body needs.